Now I'm going to have a little rant here. Normally I don't get involved, I don't rant about anything, but this has really got my goat. I want to talk about the Pride events. Now I remember when the Pride events were all free and people used to go along and enjoy themselves and have a laugh. People had money to spend because there wasn't these extortionate prices to get in. People spent money on the local stores and the local infrastructure, the local drinks, and really enjoyed themselves. The performers used to turn up free, and the stilt walkers and everything was free to get in the same street. Like in Birmingham, Hurst Street, you could go down there, it was free. In Manchester, Canal Street, you could go there and it was free. Now they block it all off, so you've got to go online and purchase these tickets, which are £50, £100 depending, and sometimes more depending if you want a VIP package, and it's not fair. So I'm glad, in my own opinion, I am glad that this issue has been raised about Manchester Pride in particular. Okay, I get it. I used to be a performer myself. I'm an ex-performer, so I know how important it is to get that paycheck. However, like I said before, it was all free and people used to turn up ready to have a laugh because it was about bringing the community together. And then it became a multi-million pound business, and people recognised the pink pound and how valuable it was. Okay, right, I'm ranting, I know. Let's face it, okay. To go to a Pride event, you need at least £500. By the time you've bought your tickets, by the time you've bought your train fare or your accommodation for the evening or the weekend, okay, then you've got to buy an outfit. Then you've got to buy drinks and food on that day. So you're talking £500, £600, £1,000 just to go to one event. That's only Manchester Pride. If you go to Birmingham Pride or Brighton Pride or wherever Pride you go, you've got to spend a lot of money. So they say it's all about community. Now, to me, you're excluding the community, and this is why I refuse to go. The only prides I go to are generally abroad because a lot of them are free. Yes, I've got to buy my plane ticket and book my accommodation for holidays and whatnot. However, the events themselves are free. I went to Sidges many years ago, a couple of years ago, sorry, and it was all down the beach, it was all free, the parade was free and everything. Here, you've got to spend a fortune. And like I said, I do get it. I do get it that people need to get paid. But when they started draining everybody of their money, that's when it became a problem. And I'll say it and I'll say it again, guys, that is excluding people, because all these people that haven't got much money, whether they be on the dole or on a low income, they can't afford to go to these events, so they feel excluded. So it's only for the people that have got a little bit of money that can go, or that have saved up for the whole year to go to these events. So I'm glad this issue has come up. Now feel free to disagree with me in the comments. I'm interested to hear your opinions, but that is my opinion. A few years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it was all free and people were going there as a community to celebrate diversity and equality and all these traits that used to be very special about the queer, the gay community. Now it's become a money machine, and that's all they want. More money for this, more money for that. You buy a drink at the bar and it's 3 or 4 times the price. You know, you buy food from the local takeaway, whereas normally you can get it for a couple of £3. And then on Pride weekend, Pride days, it goes up to £10. It's exhausting. It's really exhausting. So if you ask me, I'm glad all this has come to a head. What happened to the community where everything was fun and you'd go out and you'd have a laugh and you'd be able to afford to go? What has happened to this? And I know that inflation and everything's gone up, alcohol's gone up. If you drink alcohol, I don't. But for those of you that do drink alcohol, I understand that everything has gone up in price. But the problem arises is where you're charging hundreds of pounds to get into that same old cobbled street that you can walk down the next day after Pride for free. Me and my friends, a lot of my friends, we've all refused to go because of this problem. And it's disgusting that you're alienating people that are on low incomes, that can't afford to go to these events, or can't afford to travel there. You know, I've even seen on social media, you know, some very well-known documenteurs that talk about the gay community all over the UK. And one of them pleaded and said, look, I'd love to go and do a documentary about the Pride event, but they could not afford to go. In the end, yes, somebody did subsidise them and pay for their hotel and pay for some things, so they could go in the end. But it shouldn't be like that, you know. As a community, a so-called community, we are supposed to be helping each other out and not looking down on people because they can't afford to go, even though they want to go. I mean, I feel sorry for these poor young queens, these young gays that want to go to these events and would love to experience it and go and meet new people, but can't afford it. The same old story. And it drives me absolutely crazy. And like I said, guys, I don't normally rant on about stuff like this, politics. It's not my thing. I like to do my social media and have fun and have a laugh and bring a smile to people's faces. But when I'm seeing these constant posts on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook feed that they're saying, oh, this, that and the other, oh, this, that and the other. Yes, we understand you need a paycheck. I get it. Like I said, I am an ex-performer, so I do get that you need a paycheck. But it's becoming ridiculous. Ridiculous. Nearly £500-600 to go. Like I've said earlier, guys, train tickets, accommodation. Some people fly in to go to Pride events and it drives me mad. I'm exhausted. I've only been talking for 8 minutes and I'm exhausted. But please, guys, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you think about past Pride events and the Pride events now, how extortionate they've become. And, you know, and yes, let me just say, guys, I know I've had my rant and I do feel extremely sorry for the performers, because I know a lot of performers do live hand to mouth. Done it because there's costumes to buy, there's wigs to buy, there's makeup to buy. So I understand that, you know, it's an expensive deal to be a performer, especially drag queens, you know, makeup, wigs, constant costume changes, thinking of ideas. I know you have a lot to contend with. And you know, the performers, as in dancers, fire eaters, stilt walkers, I know that there's an expense that goes with that. But please, I'm talking about the organisation of the Pride events, you know. You know, I'm laughing to myself thinking of the joy that me and my friends used to have, you know, when we were younger. You know, we'd have a little bit of money in our pocket and we'd just get on the train and go to the nearest Pride event and have so much fun, you know, supporting local communities. And you'd have the money to buy things from the different stalls that were there because they never charged you £1,000 to get in. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh dear. And and that is what drives me crazy. So I know it's unfortunate for Manchester Pride in particular, but, believe you me, there'll be a Pride next year. And I hope it does go back to basics, where people haven't got to pay a fortune to go in, and people can just go and experience it and enjoy it without being robbed of their well-earned cash. When they tell us the event is vital to the LGBTQ plus community, I have to ask myself, where does the money go? We're spending hundreds of pounds, money that should be going directly to the vital grassroots of the organisations that truly help people year round. I'm talking about the trans youth shelters, the local mental health support groups, and the charities fighting for genuine change. I mean, look at this comparison. 20 years ago, the entry was free and the whole weekend might have cost just a couple of £100 for travel and fun. Now the entry can be £75 plus, and the total weekend is costing nearly 4 times that it used to be. The prices are simply astronomical. Now think about the older generation of the LGBTQ plus people, the ones who are 60 plus. They are the elders who were on the front line of the protests. They were the ones who risked everything so that we could have these rights. Many are now on fixed incomes or pensions. By putting a £75 plus fence around these celebrations, we are actively excluding the very people who built the foundations for us, the people who deserve to celebrate and be included the most. Instead, the cash is swallowed up by massive security contracts, huge stages, high-priced performers, and all the things needed to sustain the event, not necessarily sustain the community. When you make the cost of entry so expensive, when you put the velvet rope up around the movement that was founded on protest, not profit, you're actively excluding the most vulnerable people who need a sense of belonging the most. And the painful truth is, the people who need Pride the most are the ones now they can't afford it. We need to start demanding accountability. We need to support the smaller local prides that are still run by volunteers and dedicated to their community first. Because until that happens, until we put the spirit of pride back above the price tag, we're not marching for progress anymore. We're just paying for access. But I know, guys, I'm sorry, I've had a little bit of a rant. It's not very often that I do this kind of thing, but it's driving me absolutely crazy. So if we can learn something from the situation that's going on right now is, as soon as things become overpopular, like the prides, it used to be a couple of thousand people going, and now it's thousands upon thousands and thousands and thousands, and people are traveling from all over the world, and they've extorted people out of their money, and this is where the problem arises. And that is all I've got to say on the matter. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I promise I won't rant anymore unless something really gets my goat. But my name's lathonmb. If you've enjoyed my little rant and you'd like to see some more videos of mine which are a lot more fun and exciting, they should be popping up around now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.